where legends collide. Got my friends beside me, we're ready to ride. With every step we take, we're feeling alive. Fearless in the epic, together we thrive. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. From the jungle to lanes, we're making our mark. With strategies tight, we're igniting the spark. Enemies tremble, they can't break our flow. In this world of champions, we steal the show. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. And the falls, together we stand, we'll conquer it all. No fear in our hearts, just the thrill of the game. In this epic journey, we'll rise to fame. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight, we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. In the mold. With every fight we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind. We're fearless, we're bold, chasing dreams, breaking the mold. With every fight we rise and shine in this game. We're one of a kind.
Welcome, one and all, and we're finally here for another episode of Fearless.
Yeah, this week we've got the Albanian Super Server versus Lost Cause in the middle bracket, currently 3rd and 6th place.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a matchup. I mean, both teams have had good moments, but they've also had some negative ones. So let's see, we'll basically get a great series.
Yeah, it's funny. I think both teams, they've kind of had opposite experiences in the league so far. Lost Cause with a win in their first week, and they haven't managed to pick up a win since. And then Albanians with a bit of a slow start, taking a loss in the first week, but picking up a win every single other game.
Well, that's just it. It shows you that it doesn't matter kind of how you start, it's all about how you finish. But let's hope Lost Cause, they can have a great series today. They have shown glimpses, even in the defeats. They have shown some glimpses of success. So let's hope for their sake they do well. I do know Pensive has just come into the studio, so he will be joining us momentarily. But let's start by talking off about, the Albanian Super Server. I mean, these guys, as we know, as we just said, rough week one there, Ivan. But they kind of come back into it as the season's gone on.
Yeah, they've had some really good results, picking up wins against the Furious 5, Metacultus, and Euro Submarine. Most of those wins, 2 of those wins were 2-1s, but a win is a win at the end of the day, and they've managed to rack up 8 points so far. definitely in a good position, sitting on joint second. So I think they are locked in for playoffs. Is that correct? I believe.
Well, that's just it. Whereas on the other side, as we said, Lost Cause maybe not having all the success that they wanted at the start of this season. But definitely they've got the chance to kind of got. I know they do have a sub tonight. Overdog was unfortunately not available, so instead they have Jaculex stepping in, a good pal of Mahazivara subbing in the top lane. How do you
Yeah, I believe.
how do you think that'll affect the whole lineup in the matchup?
I mean, Jaculex did play with Lost Cause last week as well, subbing in for Mahasvar instead of Doggermi. So he's got some experience with the team, and hopefully that chemistry is working as well as they can hope for.
Well, that's just
Um,
it.
but yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see him in a new role, and whether they'll be able to pick up a win this week.
Well,
Unfortunately, not able to do so last week though.
that's just it. That's just it. I'm gonna give way for now while I try and work a way to add an extra thing. But what I will do is I'll bring in Mr. Pensive himself. If you give me 2 quick seconds. That's right.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
Pepsi.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad. And yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Covering
Welcome
good
to
old
series.
Tuba right now.
Yeah, Pepsi, do you have any thoughts on who might be taking a win this week? In the two teams?
I would probably put it in the hands of the Albanian Super Server. We've played them ourselves, as you know. I'm part of the Furious Five. They're a great team, very very hard to contend with, and they're really starting to grow into their own. You know, Wilbert's taken over that jungle role, and he's really doing a good job at that now. And I know they have some very scary picks lined up for Lost Cause. Mao's Blitzcrank definitely going to be something to watch out for. He's known for loving that, especially into Enchanters, which is what the Lulu plays a lot of. So we'll have to see how that shakes up in the bot lane.
Yeah, definitely. Mao, he loves his hookers. He's got, I think, 7 games total on Blitzcrank, Thresh, and Nautilus over the course of Field so far. So we'll probably be looking to pull those out. What other champions do
Absolutely.
you think we'll be seeing?
So I expect to see quite a few things. I know they've been practicing Elise on the side of the Albanian Super Server. Ivern is obviously one of the things that Wilbur is known for. So I expect to see that coming out. I want to see what they've prepared at the top lane with Overdog not being there, because Overdog known for his unconventional picks with like the Fiddlesticks in the top lane. So I want to see how they shake it up now. Will they be playing a bit more standardized compositions on the side of Lost Cause?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at the champs. It looks like Jaculex is basically a Gragas and Poppy Dietrich. So if this goes to 3 games, you might be in trouble a little bit with the champ pool.
Makes you wonder if the Albanian Super Server is going to target ban the one trick for some of these games. A known strategy at trying to defeat the small champion pools of some people.
Yeah, I think the rest of Lost Cause doesn't have too much of a small champion pool. But there's definitely some preferences in there, like Delulu on Emilio, the Nami,
The
and
Lulu.
things like and Warwick Jarvan for Mahasvara seem to be the preferences.
So have you guys
And
got
on the
any
side,
have you guys got any predictions on how the series is going to go? Do you think Lost Cause get a win, or do you think Albanian Super Server will continue their dominance since week 1?
I'm gonna predict a 2-1
Definitely.
on the side of
Yeah.
the Albanians.
I'm gonna go for, I ain't no coward. I'm calling it a 2-0 on the Albanian Super Server side. I'm not hedging my bets. I know them well. They're a good group of guys. But we'll see if Lost Cause can surprise us. Who knows? Maybe they brought in the big guns this week.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Overdog's a really good player, but he's a very unorthodox style of player. So it'll be interesting to see how a more traditional top laner does for Lost Cause. We talked about it just briefly there, but Overdog likes his slightly more off meta picks. Whether it be
Yeah,
the Fiddle top.
Fiddlesticks, yeah.
He loves the Singed. And
Yep,
I believe
absolutely.
we're getting into draft. What do you think we're going to see in this draft here, folks?
So I am expecting Hui to be highly contested, either as a ban or a pick here. It's a really big one for Dopey. Vrail, I know he likes his Vladimir and these other kind of more heavy carry champions. As I do believe that the mid lane is actually the lane to watch in this head-to-head.
Well, we do see a lot of bans coming out from
Oh, there's 3 bans for Tempest to pick off.
from Lost Cause, all to the top side so
It
far.
makes sense. Tempete is definitely someone to try and ban out in a lot of the early games, but he is known for being able to fight back on that.
I think they've left his Darius open on purpose. They might be
I
trying
believe
to
so.
get him on it and they have a counter pick prepared.
Maybe they'll even pick it away.
And that could be a strat
Definitely.
as well.
I mean, we do see, though, Delulu will have her Emilio, which is one of her comfort picks. We talk
Absolutely.
about, especially in the lower to middle brackets, having comfort is a key to success. And not only is she getting the Emilio, Happy's getting his namesake Twitch.
Absolutely.
That could be big.
And so far, answered really well on the side of the Albanians. They're, all the CC is knockups. Emilio can't exactly cleanse those.
Yeah, Ari picked Avril and Cassidin for Dopey. That feels like... I feel like that's a bit of a trade. Like, I know Ari's a big champ for Dopey as well, so it's probably a bit of a takeaway on the side of Avril, and Cassidin, likewise, is more of a champ for Avril, I think.
And that is
Yeah, that's
5
what
top lane bans. A full 5 stack of top
Wow.
lane bans coming up from Lost Cause. I mean, that's a strategy and a half, folks.
And here we see the Varus being locked in. A very good AD carry, fits into anything, can do literally whatever you need it to do. However, doesn't really have the hyper scaling over Twitch.
What's your thoughts on the lineups and the bans?
So-
I think that's one of the first series we've seen an entire lane banned out.
Looking at the head-to-head, I prefer the overall lineup of Lost Cause. However, I think that the Albanian Super Server has done a great job at neutralizing that Emilio. Blitzcrank being an absolute threat at pulling him in. Most of their CC between the jungler and the support is knockups, which Emilio can't do anything about. Renekton, good to stop a lot of the shielding that can come out from that from the Lost Cause side. And there's just 2 big hyper carries on each team, So
Yeah.
we have Assadin on the side of Albanian Super Server and Twitch on Lost Cause.
Well, that's just it. Obviously, Varus is going to be oppressive as well in that lane. But who do you think is more oppressive, Ivan? Do you think it's going to be this Twitch early on? Or is Varus going to have control of the lane?
I think Varus Blitzcrank as a lane feels a lot stronger than Twitch Media. But maybe that changes after level 6. If they can just go in and one-shot the Varus with that Twitch ultimate. But I think early game it should be Varus and Blitzcrank.
I know firsthand how deadly Dopey's Cassidin is. I remember we were doing, I think it was season 1 of Fearless, I was playing mid lane. And I blind picked a Vex into his mid. And he just locked this Cassidin. Let's just say Cassidin owned the whole of Summoner's Rift that day.
Cassidin, definitely one of the scariest hyper carries of the game. When Cassidin is online, everyone else is offline. It's how it feels.
But I do like the Fiora in the top lane, because if anyone wants to duel, if anyone wants to actually fight 1v1, she's exactly who you want in that side lane.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the better champions to try and handle a Cassidin in the side lanes.
I think the Albanians have picked a nice balance of, the Renekton and the Zin to carry the early game and then the Cassidin to take over late game. On the side of Lost Cause, it feels like if the Fiora doesn't get ahead, like it's just everything on Twitch to carry the late game. Which could be very difficult for Happy. So obviously with the Cassidin, with the Blitzcrank, there's a lot of things that can just one-shot that Twitch.
Absolutely. And a decent bit of a good dive comp on the side of the Albanian Super Server with the Jhin, Renekton, and Kassadin all being able to go in quite handily. Or the Blitzcrank just to pull somebody out. However, there's quite a defensive lineup between the Warwick and the Milio on the side of Lost Cause. You know, a lot of peel, a lot of damage mitigation, multi CC from the Fear. So we'll really have to keep an eye open on how these compositions are played. But the range advantage overall is on the side of the Albanian Super Server. You know, the Varus is a little hard to touch from the side of Lost Cause. Not the easiest champion to jump on top of here.
Well, that's just that, you know, both these sides, they've got ways to win. It's not like some drafts we've seen where teams have no damage, or they don't have any tanks, they're too squishy. There's a nice mix on both sides. Both teams have someone who wants to be up there in the bruiser, someone who wants to be fighting in that top lane, you know, 1v1 on the split push, and they both have champions that can run over a game. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what we are going to see in this lineup.
It'll be a very bloody game. Like there are no tanks on either side. It's just like people that want to fight. So I think we'll see a lot of kills.
A lot of fist fighting indeed.
But that is why we're here. Oops, we're zooming in on Albanians. I don't know why, but we're going to zoom in on the Lost Cause as well. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost time for us to get into game number 1. I hope you've all got your popcorn. Because as alluded to, I have a very, very solid feeling this could be one of the bloodiest games we've seen in the middle bracket to date. And we're going to start that off by getting into game number 1. So here we go. Do we think we're going to see an invade from any of the teams here?
Blitzcrank definitely has the potential to get something going early game.
I would definitely expect it more out of the side of the Albanian Super Server, but maybe they'll play the mind game where the opponent is just going to expect them to invade, and they just won't.
Well, that's it. I mean, we do see Catnipple just forming that 5-point defense, not really getting too aggressive on that front. What do you think of the runes here, folks? We've got Conqueror in the top lanes, Lethal on the Warwick, Electrocute. Nothing crazy from either side, I don't think.
Very standard. Varus looking to be on that on-hit Varus as well.
Yeah, genuinely, I think that the lethality Varus could have done a little bit better in this game. But on-hit is good as well.
Yeah, definitely not the easiest composition for him to have free hits on.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we were bigging up a very bloody start, but both sides are just coming out here and just kind of matching each other so far. I'm just saying, we're going to play it a bit slower.
Yeah, Ignite
It
on
does look
Grail,
like both
so,
junglers are pathing down bot lane as well.
Is that what you would like to see, Pensive? Obviously, being the resident jungle main. Would you like to see them pathing bot side, or would you like to see one of them going top side?
So I actually really like the pathing of the Warwick down to the bot side, but I think the Jhin could have done better by pathing top side. That's a very volatile matchup between Renekton and Fiora that can be completely flipped on his head with jungle intervention. However, we see a big hook from Catnipple onto the Twitch. A nice chunk of damage coming through.
Well, that is just it. You know, that's exactly what they want to be doing. Is we do see Jackie Lex walking up to Eto on the Renekton. Remember, he got 5 of his champs banned away. It's not as if the normal feel is where you say, right, we'll take 1 here. Lost Cause have said, right, this is where we want to target. Although Lulu's the one being targeted right now. Health getting chunked by this Varus.
No, it's another hook, and Delulu doesn't respect that. Level 2. All the one done with the blight stacks can do a big chunk of percentage health damage.
Jackie Lex showing no fear against this Renekton, although Renekton is going to dash in, do a lot of damage to this Fiora. He's got his Fury stacked up, he's looking for that first blood. Believe he maybe a tower shot there. But that could have been first blood just right there.
Tempete was smelling blood in the water, but fails to capitalize on the Fiora. However, Still looking quite low. Maybe we'll call up the Jhin for a dive. We'll see what ends up forming here.
I mean, Jin is still on that bot side, just clearing away his blue buff right there, although we do see Dopey getting a wee bit out-traded here by Vrail at the moment, and if anyone can handle this casting, it is Vrail. Maybe not had the flashiest of Season 3s, but we know what he can do with success in the upper bracket last season.
Yeah, he's running that Ignite as well. I think he's looking for something early onto Dopey to slow down that scaling a little bit.
We see CS leads is not that crazy. In fact, about 6 in the mid lane or so. But everyone else is within that 2 or 3 markers. We do see Oda Wendam taking a lot of damage here from Twitch. Twitch is getting him low, but it will be Blitz that will pick up the first blood onto the Twitch. And the Lulu will get a kill back in return onto the Varus. But that's a double kill in the bot lane for Albanian Super Server.
You've got to imagine Delulu is kicking herself in the foot a little bit there with a bit of a late exhaust that could have turned the fight a little earlier, but it was a good pickup to get that kill back on the side of Lost Cause.
Yeah, looking at the summoners burn. All the combat summons, no flashes though. So all of the bot laners still have flash for maybe another 2v2 shortly.
Yeah, we do see the ball coming out from Ari doing a lot of damage onto Dopey, but again, Dopey's just waiting for that level 6 so he can use that all that dashing of the ults. And that's when this casting really is going to start to come online. So he's going to have to be fine, although we do see Fiora take a lot of damage from Renekton. We've seen this before though, but Jackulix knows his limits. Well, at least it looks like he knows his limits so far.
Oh, Dogan misses cannon there, unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know if I can't say I play a lot of Fiora. All I know is she's got the 4 vitals, but she's one of these champions that will just sit there, and with the riposte has got a lot of anti-damage there.
Yeah, and a lot of outplay potential. Like if Tempete tries a little bit too, something tries a little bit too fancy, can.
Here we go. We do see that riposte coming out. 1 tower shot for Tempete, and that is 2 for the Fiora. Fiora will pick up that second kill, meaning whoever gets the next blood on the rift will get the feat of warfare.
Yeah, and as you said,
Very well played by the Fiora.
Tempete tries to go for the dive, and it doesn't quite work out.
We see Mal's hook going wide. Twitch is here looking on. They know they smell blood to a point, but they're just going to back off. Dopey's getting rather low. But you just feel at any moment he can just turn it onto this Ari and just blow her up.
Absolutely, the Riftwalk is now online. As we see Wilbur going for an early dragon here.
And he's just being left absolutely untouched. Mazavara has no idea this is going on.
However, this does mean that he's going to have a bit of a tempo advantage on Wilbert.
Oh, as the Lulu gets caught out by the hook from the Blitzcrank. She does manage to get out, but it won't be enough. Varus will claim the feat of warfare for the side of the Albanian Super Server. Although Warwick is on the hunt.
Arrow.
That was big. I mean, we're talking about the balance of this game, and that's the perfect way to get started. Although it is starting to live up to its name being bloody, as Warwick smells that blood and goes right onto the Varus. Oh, the Wendam take a lot of damage. Twitch will pick up the kill, but not before Varus claims his life with a blight. Warwick looking onto Blitzcrank, although I don't think he knows Zen is here. And now Zen will jump right onto Warwick, and he will absolutely... Oh, maybe not. Warwick going in with a fear. Will pick up the kill. Will pick up a double kill. Massive Farah on the Warwick. What a double kill to claim something back for Lost Cause.
And this is the trouble of Warwick. You know, people will think they can get him. He's low, easy pickings, and suddenly Warwick turns it on you with his passive and an absolute boatload of damage. And Blitzcrank not having the ignite there to be able to stop that from happening means lights out for the jungler and support of the Albanian Super Server.
I'm seeing Tempete starting to actually get a little bit out-traded here by the Fiora.
Yeah, and we do see, Fiora, this is what we talked about, Renekton might have that kind of dominance, especially when he's got his Fury up, but as soon as that Fury's down, he's got to be careful. And both Warwick and Melio are up here to try and fight these grubs. They want to claim a objective back after losing that first dragon. And Renekton smells it out. I don't think Renekton can fight it though, although Zen and Blitzcrank is in the area. Meanwhile, in this bot lane, Happy having to pushed out, and here we go. Tempesti's already down at 25% health, but Vilbert, Mao, and Dopey are in the area, and they're going to absolutely slay the Lionel Messi character as the ADCs trade their lives. Meanwhile, Renekton is fighting the Sword Maiden. Vrail's going to pick up the kill on the Renekton. Fiora will live for now, but Dopey uses the Rift Walk. Vilbert in the pit has to flash out. I don't know if he got one, but Ale Warwick comes in and will pick up the kill. I gotta say though, Lost Cause, they're making this a game so far, and Warwick might not be done here. Going on to the Kassadin. I mean, Kassadin's great against magic damage, but if that Warwick can lock him down, I don't think Dopey will be long for this Rift.
Yeah, Dopey really waiting there, trying to save his mana a little bit because his Rift Walk had already stacked up a few times. Unfortunately, being forced to use it anyway, out of mana has to recall straight away instead of being able to go back to lane. And that, looked okay at first for the Albanian Super Server. They got a pick on the Melio, but it turned out that the Grand Duelist, really shows him up, gets the Renekton, and then the team collapses, and they're not even able to pick up one of the grubs. Lost Cause got all three.
And that's kind of big. That's exactly what they want. They lost that first objective, but they've come out absolutely swinging so far. Even though they lost the Feats of Warfare, they didn't lose it by much. I'm going to see a replay here just in a quick wee second, although we're going to make sure there's no action happening, because we do see Jaculix and Fakali looking like they're going to fight, but nothing's going to come from it. And yeah, let's see that replay just now. And Ivan, talk me through it.
Yeah, Mao gets a brilliant hook onto. We're seeing the 1v1 on the bot side. Mao lands a hook onto the Melio, takes him out as the bot lane is traded 1-for-1. Tempet pops the ultimate and gets that Q healing, manages to stay alive, but has to flash away from the Fiora ult. But Vrail is there with the ultimate to pick that kill up. Dopey starts chasing onto Jaculix, and Wilbur has to flash out of the pit. And then Mao hits another hook onto Vrail, who flashes after the Zen. But it does go down to Mahaswara.
I mean, that's kind of big though. Gold lead wise, we're about 1 grand up on Lost Cause. Now remember, Lost Cause are the team which have had a rough time coming into this. This kind of lead has got to be good for the morale, Pensive. You come in.
Absolutely.
You've had a pretty rough start to hold that thought. We see the Rift Walk coming up from Dopey right onto Vrail. Vrail gets chunked. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, we see a big fight breaking out. Delulu will take a lot of damage, gets silenced by the Blitzcrank. However, Twitch is on the back line doing a lot of damage. However, it's forced to retreat. Wendam taking a lot of damage. Twitch is looking for the angle. We do see Vrail coming roaming down. He can't save his ADC. However, Warwick is now in the fight. Now let's see if the Lost Cause can turn it. Catnipper will fall. Vilbert will push him away, but that's not going to stop the Warwick out. Wilbert will fall, and that is a 2, maybe 3 for 1 if the Foxfire Charms go through. But Vrail gets the cut shut down by the turret. You gotta admit that's a missed opportunity for the Albanians, as now Dopey's going to face the wrath of this werewolf. But they're just going to walk away. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah,
very well played on the side of Lost Cause. A beautiful, beautiful charm onto Ninja Cactus, almost stopping him and almost getting the kill on him as well. Very well played by Lost Cause to be able to pull that play back after their Twitch falls.
And even in this top lane, Ivan, both sides, even after everything, with the gold, with the CS lead that Renekton has, there's only about 160 gold in it, even though Fiora's got that kill and assist.
Yeah, I think right now, with the Renekton having a completed item, this could actually be a dive angle, but that Fiora always has the riposte.
Problem is, we do see that Ari is here as well, but so is Wilbert, and Jaculix is just going to fall to this crocodile, and Vilbert's now going to probably sense out this Ari, but they're just going to back off. He's going to clear the vision in the pit. And then we'll get ready to look forward to this Rift Herald spawning in about minute 15.
Yeah, initially, as I say, Tempete gets that dive. I think Jaculix walked up a little bit too far and wasn't able to react to the W from Renekton getting that stun.
We see another amazing blitz hook here onto the Twitch, but this time not going to get a kill though. But this is the power of Mao with his hook champs. He is one of the best in this bracket for landing those hooks. No matter who he's playing with, it be a Thresh, the Blitzcrank, or even his Nautilus. You know, his roams, his hooks are on point.
They need to start calling him the Rocket Man with how good his rocket grabs are.
The thing is,
Lulu in particular is having some issues trying to dodge the hooks. He's been caught out a couple of times already.
I always find that as a support, you're the one, you know, you just have a magnetic attraction to any of these hooks. But that's just great play from the Blitzcrank to get them. Already 5 assists and a kill. But on Vision, he's starting to lack a bit. You know, Delulu's starting to take control, at least on that front. And we all know Vision can win games.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think possibly Mao has been a little bit too lane focused. But it's worked out for auto undone.
Oh, so see, Ari's talking of Vision. Ari's going to walk blind into a bush, has to burn the ult to get out, and decides to walk back. We'll get the charm onto Velbert. We'll have to flash away, though. And you think that's almost an unforced error from the side of Lost Cause.
Yeah, Wilbur does burn the flash as well to try and close the gap. It doesn't quite work out for him.
Ari actually didn't burn hers. It was just the third charge of her ultimate.
Drill does a fantastic job to get out of there. And it is going to be Mahazavara who will pick up the Xin Zhao instead. But now we see Milio getting caught, and unfortunately I don't think the Lulu's getting out of that one. 3 of them focusing directly onto her. That's just unlucky more than anything.
Yeah. But honestly, this Warwick is starting to become a problem. We saw it at the Grub Pit when he was, in the middle of all the grubs and 3 members of the Albanian Super Server. He just wasn't going down. He was untouchable. And now he's a few more kills up. He's starting to get completely out of control. There's no one to answer him.
Can't forget about that bot river play where he picks up the double kill.
But that's just it. Warwick is one of these champions that when he does start to snowball and he does get ahead, he can be quite hard to peg back because of all that healing. And I mean, we don't see any anti-heal items coming out anytime soon from the side of the Albanians. Would you be thinking picking up a Bramble Vest is worth it on the Sin and the Renekton? Or would you just say, nah, we don't need it?
Unfortunately, with Warwick, it's one of those champions that you can't really use the Bramble Vest too well, as he will just hit another target that doesn't have it. You have to have something a little more proactive, an Executioner's Culling perhaps, or an Oblivion Orb of some sort. Maybe Mao should think about picking it up, even though it's not ideal. There isn't anyone that really builds any of these items super, super well. Perhaps an Executioner's on the Xin Zhao might make some sense.
Yeah, and we do see the side of Lost Cause. They want this first turret, and they will get it in the mid lane. That is the feat of first turrets picked up. They need one more objective. They'll have taken the feats of strength, and considering they'd lost the feats of warfare, that's sometimes a quite hard thing to do, because that seems to always be the easiest one to get. You get those 3 early kills, you've got one in the bag. But now, the Albanians, they need to get this next dragon, and probably Atakan, to get the warfare. As we see Happy, he is going to go invisible. They are going to have to hunt for him, but he's kind of locked in this alcove right now. I mean, he's played this to an absolute perfection, and he's going to sneak out. That must be one of the most infuriating things if you're from the Albanians there. He was in the area, but you can't quite get him.
Yeah, nice play there from Happy.
We see the
face checking the boat.
Yeah, we see the riff walk coming out again from Dopey, but he's going to riff walk right into a wall. Real has to burn the ults to keep it alive. But again, you're not going to mind. This Ari's ult. It's not the longest of ult cooldowns. We see Renekton being left alone on the top, but that's because Lost Cause. They've set their sights directly on this dragon. They just want to secure it and be able to claim the feats of strength.
I do believe they've actually already claimed the feats of strength with the tower and the first dragon, the grubs, and the herald.
Oh, there you go.
So that's just an extra joke for them, building towards that mountain soul.
But it's just been complete control of the objectives and in the jungle by this Warwick, which is quite impressive because obviously, a lot of the pre-season hype and the talk was what this Albanian Super Server building this super team. You know, you had Vilbert, who was a key presence in the upper bracket finals. Is he catching up landing another hook? But he's going to take turbo shots in return, and that's just going to allow Happy to turn right back onto him. And he's just going to walk away, but Mazivara smells that blood. Sides against it, although Catnipple maybe chancing his fate. We can see the vision getting spotted out that just got straight placed. But obviously there was a lot of talk pre-season. We're not going to get a chance to talk about pre-season because Dopey's going to take a lot of damage from this Ari, and that's going to allow this Warwick to be able to walk in and get some football attached to him. And he thought about a dive there for a second, but thinks better of it because the wave's not there. Third time lucky, I might get it to it. Yeah. So you've got this ultimate, dream team for the Albanians of, Ninja Cactus in the bot lane, Season 1 fearless upper bracket winner. You have Vilbert, who's played a lot, in the upper bracket and was a super sub, I believe, in the final last season. You know, Tempete, who was one of the best from the lower bracket, and Dopey and Mao, who again, they were both key parts of the success last season and the season before. But in this game, Lost Cause are taking it to them. And if anything, it's Real and Mahazivara who are leading the way.
Absolutely. They may be lost cause, but it's the Albanians who are looking a little lost here. Just not being able to really gain a concrete advantage anywhere.
But there's no gold difference in it right now. There's 400 gold, if that.
Absolutely, no. Correct.
So it still could go either way. Oh, what a hook! From Mao onto Delulu. Delulu will get absolutely slain. But again, it's another kill onto the Blitzcrank rather than the Varus. Yes, the Varus has 6 kills and has a significant lead. But you don't want to be taking any money from this Varus because you want him to be as fed as he can to try and fight this work.
Absolutely.
As we see, do see Ninja Cactus getting absolutely blown up. And this is the thing. This Ari is going to do a lot of damage onto this bat line. And they are both just going to fall. And the difference is both of those kills go onto the AD carry of Lost Cause. Twitch will jump over the wall, try and go invisible, but unfortunately will get shut down. And now Tempete comes in from the top side on the big crocodile, will slay the dog for the first time. But now Jaculex is looking to repay the favour. Jaculex onto the Zinzao, and it will be Vrail who'll pick it up. Now the attentions are going to turn to the Dominus of Renekton. Now Renekton's got to be careful, and Dopey is forced to retreat. But Delulu will pick up the kill, thanks to Jaculex going in. And that should just be an Atakan for the side of Lost Cause.
Very, very scrappy.
It's another one of those fights that breaks out. It's another one of those fights that breaks out where it starts looking good for the Albanian Super Server, but it just ends up being better for Lost Cause. And with that picking up the Atakan, that's another objective over to them. And they've got to be feeling good about this. They keep winning these fights. They keep picking up the objectives. However, it does look like there's a little bit of trouble brewing here if Dopey maybe spots this and sees how low the members are.
Well, that's it. I do think now the Twitch is here. It should be fine, although Mao is looking in there as well. They're trying to get vision. There's just nothing there. Mahazivara will just pick it up. And that's a big, especially with the adaptations we've seen this season, the Atakan has had so much more impact than it has in the previous seasons.
Yeah, the new buff with the kind of slow area on takedowns is definitely good for Lost Cause.
But that's just another turret in the mid lane to this Varus, who's back to 1.2k gold lead. But the big thing is this Twitch now has 4 kills, has 2 completed items as well. Has the upgraded boots, or at least the buffed boots, maybe not upgraded. While Varus has got his Rage Blade now, so this should get a bit spicy. And we do see anti-heal from the Renekton.
Gotta be a little concerned that he completely builds the Chainsword. Not exactly the best gold efficient item.
Oh, Delulu gets absolutely pulled in there. I mean,
it's another one of those Mao hooks. The rocket grab.
Well, that's just it.
Not been able to avoid this.
And that should just be a Drake for the side of Lost Cause. And we did talk about this. If they want anyone to fight Dopey in the side lane, it is this Fiora. Thing is, I don't think Mazivara, he does have his ultimate up. He does have vision in the pit. I mean, he's got that jump. He can send it when he wants, and he's thinking about it. He thought about it. He decided against it. I mean, it's only their second dragon. There's no point in really stressing or worrying about that if you're the side of Lost Cause. You'll take that. Because you obviously put a lot of pressure on that top side. And now this Twitch can kind of walk in this mid lane.
Yeah, 2 trades apiece will definitely slow down the trade stacking on the side of Lost Cause. Now I think we have to think about scaling. Like, Vopi is level 14 already. He's got 9 stacks on his rower. His Robert's getting caught.
We do see Vril missing a lot of the abilities, which is unlike him. And it's now going to open up a chance, you know, for the rest of the team to come in. I mean, we did see Velvet trying to steal away Mahazavara's jungle. But Mahazavara is going to return the favour by taking the wolves away. As Velvet almost had that red buff, give up the aggro and kind of respawn. And Pensive, that would have been the worst feeling in the world for a jungler.
Oh yeah, it's a horrible, horrible feeling. It's not what you want to be happening, especially this late into the game. You know, it's not not really. You don't want to lose that tempo of having to go and redo the camp. However, Wilbur did lose his flash in that trade with Vrail, which
That could be important.
is quite big coming up into this larger objective of the Baron spawning at 25 minutes.
I mean, we do see a slight gold lead for the Renekton, but as we were saying, we don't think the Chempug Chainsword is probably the best buy for him, whereas...
No, definitely not. You usually see an Executioner culling and then components or completing a different item first, as it's just a little more gold efficient. It does give him a bit of trading power, as Fiora does have the Ravenous Hydra, so it makes sense that he wants anti-heal. But you probably hope that he, be building towards a Black Cleaver or something a little more team-oriented, and even for himself, a little more selfishly, than the Chainsword.
Yeah, and we are going to see the Baron spawn. Now, Ivan, which team do you think's got the advantage here over this Baron fight?
I think the game is just a bit too close with only 400 gold in it. Like, both sides will be positioning, as we see 4 members from each team going up towards this Baron. I think it's just going to be down to who can get out the pressure on the waves.
Yeah, we all see both teams pinging it, and obviously it's Vrail this time on the sidelines against the Crocodile. Fiora is still topside. But it looks like they're going to fight over a bit of mid-control here.
Vrail doesn't have teleport.
Yeah.
So the Renekton can join up top, but Ahri can't answer.
And here comes Jaculite's getting caught out. There's not much you can do 3v1 with I believe the Ignite was used as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now that gives that pick that they needed it for the side of the Albanians. But I don't think Lost Cause will give this up easily. Especially with, Ahri getting so much on the bot side.
Absolutely. It looks like a 4v3 up in the top lane right now. However, the Albanians don't fancy it. They don't think they can take it with the 3 members of Lost Cause sitting around, even though they have Tempete, who could have teleported in. He got chunked out completely by the Ahri.
I mean, talking about these mid laners, Ivan, you've got the Steen one Ahri and the Theano Caston. Who are you more scared of at this moment?
I think both of them with 2.5 items. Loki's already hit level 16. I've got to say the Cassadin is looking a little bit more scary. Like the Ahri has that big potential, sure, but I think just with so much damage from the Cassadin ult, I think it's got to be in favour of Dopey.
It all really depends on... You got to feel the game is on a knife edge right now, and I think the gold graph will show us that as well. There's nothing in it. We did see about a 2k gold, a 1500 gold lead, not even a 2k gold lead, as we do see Mahazavara going in right onto Dopey, and we're going to see Vrail charming him up. We were scared of the Cassadin, but it's Cassadin who should be scared of this Vrail Ahri mixed in with a werewolf, and they will now set their sights on the big purple worm.
A big mistake there from Dopey to face check the bush, gets feared up by the Warwick and taken down instantly.
Now let's see if they can turn the fight. The charm goes wide from the Ahri, and we do see Mal having to walk away. Sidesteps that Mahazavara does not seem bothered, was waiting till the last moment. We do see the Ahri fall, but Warwick's on the back line, picks up the Mal, picks up the Renekton thanks to the Twitch, and now Orwindam has to back away. That is a 4-for-1 for the side of Lost Cause, and you will happily take that.
Yeah, very odd decision there from the Albanians to try and fight 4v5 into the Baron pit.
Yeah, you would have hoped that they would have gotten a bit more just poking before trying to fight the Warwick, potentially forcing them in as they thought the Baron was falling a bit too fast. But they had a little more time to play with there, and it just wasn't the way you wanted to fight. You know, you had a complete concave of lost cause on your entire team. You took so much damage from the Twitch, so much damage from the Ahri. Fiora also doing whatever she wants. It just wasn't the right way to take that fight.
Yeah. I mean, we can see the replay just here, you know, Dopey getting absolutely caught out. And even with the Warwick ult going wide, there was just nothing they could do. And then obviously they got free unfettered access to this dragon. But even then, it doesn't go down that quickly. You know, the Albanians, they had plenty of time to regroup, get back in it. You know, spells are going wide. But this is the key moment. You know, we see Mahazavara just hitting away on the dragon. And then they just walk up. Definitely an interesting call when they know Warwick's in the pit.
You know, a little
You've
bit
got to
baited in
imagine.
by the Chains of Corruption.
Yeah, the Chains of Corruption from Varus hitting on Vrail was great, but it was just a bit late on Wilbert's Wilbert using his ultimate, the Crescent Guard, and then Mao also using the Blitzcrank ult, the static field, to just try and stop the enemy from doing anything. Because you can see that when Wilbert finally used the Crescent Guard, he was already at 30% HP.
Well, that's just it, and I quite like this strategy of Theon 2. You've got your two big solo side pushers in the side lane, and then you got this Warwick who is ultra giga fed, 2.1k of his opponent, and about to be even more as he jumps in, suppressing the Renekton. That's another kill over to the side of this Twitch, who he might be 800 gold down, but he's definitely not, unfed. He's had a decent amount of money put towards his way as well. And it just seems every fight, and as this game goes on, it's Lost Cause that are coming back into this. And are the ones in charge.
Yeah, I think the last couple of fights have kind of shown the difference between this on-hit Varus and potentially the Poke Varus being a little bit of a better pick in this game.
Yeah, we do see that mid tower go down. The Twitch ultimate comes out and a lot of damage, but doesn't quite pick one up. They are going to take the inhib while Jackie Lex is down on that bot side. The Albanians have to be careful. They are going to lose 2 towers and 2 inhibs here. Which is quite big. It's one thing nowadays to get rid of 1 inhib. But if you can open the base with 2, that gives you that security you need.
Definitely. The Albanians going to have to commit a lot of resources to base defense. And there is a Dragon Soul potentially coming up in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
We see Vrail just 1v1ing the Blitzcrank. I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't see this. I was too busy looking at the scores, trying to make sure everything was working with the inhibs, which it doesn't seem to be behaving. But that's uncharacteristic. I mean, that's now one big member of the Albanians kind of taking out the fight. And they can now put all that pressure onto this top side, knowing, it's 2 minutes to Dragon. They can get this tier 2 tower. Mahazavara is looking in. Delulu is here as well. Tempeti's not long for this world. As that tower falls, Tempeti will live with the Dominus, and now Vilbert uses that Crescent Guard to try and get away, but he will be the one that gets blown up by the Warwick. And now they go in on the backline. Owen Dam taking a lot of damage, but Jackie Lex will be the one to nearly fall. He's burning thanks to Mal. But now Vrail's on the backline. Owen Dam will get blown up as well. Oh, maybe not. Owen Dam's going to escape for now. We'll live on 11 a prayer. But unfortunately, we'll fall. Now the Driftwalk is coming out. Dopey trying to finally use this casting to advantage. It's level 18. And only gets what. And we'll probably pick up most of them, if not all. It is only Delulu left. And will finally. It is a 4 for 5 for the side of the Albanian. But yeah, you're basing tatters. You have supers banging in on these towers. And Dopey's not even that high health to just go straight to defend.
And honestly, you call it a 4 for 5, but realistically it was a 5 for 5 with the Blitzcrank being dead at the start of all this because of the pick down in the bot lane. It's, it was nice for the Albanian Super Server. It's a good comeback of sorts. Fantastic piercing arrow from Varus claims the Ahri before he falls, allowing the Kassadin to rift walk all over the bot lane of Lost Cause. But it's just maybe too little, too late. Their base is in absolute shambles. The third inhibitor is open and susceptible to being taken,
And
and
Soul's
now
coming
they're
up.
forced to go into this dragon fight while they have 2 inhibitors down. This is not where you want to be on the side of the Albanian Super Server. But what
Here
choice
we
do you have?
Not only that, they're not going to have any chance to get vision. You've got that pink in the pit, and obviously the Baron Scuttle Crab gets popped as we will, but already taking a chunk of damage from the Fiora, and now we're going to see Warwick looking in on this battle line. He's saying, yeah, I don't need a dragon. We're just going to fight you in your own jungle. Velvet trying to get some health back by using the regen in the jungle. But they're just going to start this dragon. Now, we saw with the thing, they didn't take a lot of damage onto the objective, but Velvet, the objective might not take a lot of damage, but he does. And now Mao is caught out. Wilbert will fall to the Twitch, but they will get the Twitch back up. Meanwhile, Warwick, not even in the pit. Soul's up, buddy. But he just wants this casted so badly, and it will be the side of the Albanians who pick it up, but not before Dopey falls. They'll say, yeah, we don't need this Dragon Soul. Dominus will time out on the Renekton. But we see the TPs coming out mid, folks. Could this be game?
I think so. You gotta imagine, yeah, give them the dragon, but you've killed the biggest carries on the side of the Albanian Super Server. It's Renekton and Varus left. Can they hold it against a 4-man squad strong of Lost Cause? I'm not so sure. They're going to take the inhibitor for good measure.
He's going to try and defend this.
Are you still taking your prediction there that we said before the game? A 2-0 for the Albanians? Because Lost Cause, they're showing that they are not
honestly, they're
lost.
showing the big guns right now. This is really, this is a different Lost Cause from usual. They are doing fantastically this game.
Do we think the 4 bands on top the 5 bands on top have played an impact?
I think definitely.
Potentially.
He went about even in lane. Maybe getting a little bit.
He just can't even do anything. He tried to go in for a steal, but I think the game's just done. I think Lost Cause, they've played this to perfection. They held their nerve, they held their tongue in these fights at the start of the game. They let the Warwick, they let the Twitch and the Ari get into the game. Delulu might have been hooked more time than a fish at the bottom of the sea, but they've managed to do what they needed to do when it mattered.
Definitely. Masvara and Vrail absolutely putting the team forwards. So many picks between the two.
I mean, the game's not over. We have seen bigger throws. We've seen a lot more come. But you got to think, this could happen any minute now, It would just take one more pick, you would think. You've got the Baron minions now raining down on what could be all 3 lanes. And I think it is. Top inhib is down, and the bottom and mid will look sure to follow very shortly.
The Albanians still holding on, just about.
Absolutely. Well, still let Baron knowing that if Baron is
Look at that inhib, it just falls.
It melts away. And this is when it gets tough. Double super minions in every wave, along with the Baron buff.
That tower that tower melted like a hot knife through butter, and the last remaining one is going to go as well. They're going to have one last fight to try and save game 1. Here we go. Tempete already going low. We do see Catnipple get him absolutely blown up. They will pick up the Zinzawa. Triple kill for the Twitch. Will we see a Penta? No, we won't. Well, we might still, because the GA comes out. They're not giving it a chance to get it. We are going to see game 1 going to the side of Lost Cause.
Oh, that was definitely a missed opportunity for the Twitch there to get his Penta, but I think the minions were just doing a little too much damage to that Nexus regardless.
It's not just that, you're sitting there, you've had a fairly rough season up to this point. You're going to take any win you can get, and you don't want to waste any time. You just want to secure it, and that's exactly what Lost Cause did.
Yeah,
they've got to be feeling so good right now.
And in terms of goal, it was about even, like 25 minutes, something like that, and then it was just all in favour of Lost Cause after that. The picks into Baron, into just taking 2 inhibs, and they just win the game.
Well, that is just it. We are going to take a short break. But when we do come back, we'll be getting right on with draft of game number 2. And do we think we're going to see any picks in particular, gents?
Oh, I
The
gotta
thing is now
imagine
with
that
those
they'll.
5 top bands, like Fekau's entire chapel is open now, so
Yes,
he'll be looking to
absolutely.
have a lot of fun.
Now, I did
And,
see a strat in one of the other kind of leagues where they picked a whole team of top lane champs. So you never know. That could happen. But the only way you're going to find that out, folks, is by
I
coming
have
up.
seen that before. It rarely works.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Albanians might want to think about targeting the hyper carries down in the bot lane. That Twitch looked very powerful. You know, it's not something you want to happen again. Maybe banning away something like Jinx, Kog'Maw, those kind of things. We'll see what they come up with to answer the side of Lost Cause.
And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. And gentlemen, what a game number one that was. Lost Cause, almost to some people an upset in that game one. And they looked like the team who were the upper hand in the standings, but instead, they are the ones who were languishing down the bottom. And now starting to climb back up.
Definitely a bit of an upset in that game one. Lost Cause will be very, very happy to pick up a win and move to match point. And I think the Albanians have to think about how they're gonna play out the potentially 2 more games.
I mean, we can see in the standings here, it might only be a 1 point increase, but if they manage to win the next game, they'll jump right up to that 7 point mark, and they'll be right there with some of the upper teams in this division. Yes, they've still got to play, with this being game 1 of week 5, but it's a step in the right direction for them. I think they jump joint 4th, probably in taxi. Well, probably they'll stay in 6th, but they'll be right there on points due to the fact they've played.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if they do only walk away with 1 point, they will be in a pretty comfortable position with Meta Cultists, one of the other teams, still looking for playoffs, still to play against them in, I think, the last week.
Well, that's just it. We all start talking about kind of playoff picture, and Pensive, obviously, we're starting to see the picture. Obviously, it looks like the Albanians are going to they are pretty much safe through to the playoff bracket. Same as, I think, Lost Cause is still a scenario where they do get out, but it would take a massive upset, especially with performances like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if I'm on the side of the Albanians right now, I'm thinking, what went wrong? Why did game 1 just go so awry? And how can we shore up that so it doesn't happen again? They don't want to be coming into the playoffs looking weak. They need to make sure they're able to sustain their lead, keep their head in the game, and not fall so far behind.
Well, that's just it. I think, while we wait on the draft, I think one of the big things, one of the, not turning points, because the game was kind of already done, but we've got to look back at this Baron fight, when, obviously, just after the Blitzcrank got hooked, and we see the effect it had. So, obviously, we see Dopey getting picked out first. Warwick goes on the back line. But at this point, you're starting to think, okay, you lose Dopey, but your jungler's still up. Let's see what we can do. But Ivan, as we've seen, it doesn't end up that way.
Yeah, I think just before this, we saw the power of the kind of pick potential of Ari and Warwick. And here, I think it's just the Albanians kind of going into a bad fight, and it doesn't work out well for them.
Yeah, and I mean, that was probably the camel that broke the back for the Albanians. But you're going to take that every day of the week if you're a fan of Lost Cause.
Absolutely, yeah. It was, once again, when you look at that fight, you see the catch with the Chains of Corruption onto the Ahri. Everyone jumps in, but when everyone jumps in, they're all in there taking AoE damage from the Twitch, from the Warwick coming back and fearing all of them, and it's just, you got to think, maybe that's just not the right play. Maybe just Jhin jumps in, throws down his ultimate, so he doesn't take a lot of damage, knocks away the rest of the enemy team, and then the rest of the guys go in, kill the Ahri, and try and play it from there. That just wasn't quite what they were doing in that fight. They went in a little too haphazardly, and it cost them the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole moment where they were all fighting, and Warwick was just sitting there. They didn't have vision at that point of the Warwick, so they were fighting the 4 men, or the four champions of Lost Cause. Let me just see if I can get that out. Let me just put the audio, the speed quite low on this, so we can actually see this point. But we see it just here. Warwick's in the pit. Completely. And it's only at this point, after the fight has already started, that we see anyone even think about moving. And at this point, Warwick's got a free angle onto that back line. And then obviously we know how the rest of this plays out. I mean, that's just free absolutely free onto Tempete, onto Mao. At that point, there's nothing you can do. Your damage is gone. You know, the Varus is the only one left, and he can't fight against 5 or 4 at that time.
Yeah, I think Albanian's just forgetting about that really, really fed Warwick. He must have had like 6, 7 kills at this point. They just kind of forgot about him, and he completely just runs the fight.
But that's the thing with these kind of jungle carries like a Warwick is as we said in the game, they can run away with a game if they get super fed. And I think it was 5-0, 6-0 at one point before he finally got slain. And even then, you know, Mahazavara, you know, he missed last week, but he's coming out swinging this week.
A huge performance from him and from Vero in the mid lane. This mid jungle duo doing a lot of good work on the Rift.
Yeah,
Absolutely. They're looking very confident working together.
And I think from the side of the Albanians, their mid jungle felt a little bit disconnected. I don't think Wilbur had a great game. I think he went something like 1-12. So he'll be looking to pick it up in the second game and come out stronger.
but that's it. Every person in these games can have an off game. It's the nature fearless. Nobody can be perfect. You can have some of the best players in the server. We saw that even last night. You know, some of the master players. You know, ones who've played the matchup, the lane matches so many times, and yet it just doesn't go to plan. Because of the nature of fearless and the unpredictability of it.
And that's what makes it fun.
Well, that's it. Is there any champions you're looking in particular to see in this game number 2? Especially when we had all 5 top champions banned by Lost Cause last time.
I've got to imagine that they're probably looking to get another hooking champion onto Mao's hands, maybe a Thresh, maybe a Nautilus, and continue that game. Because honestly, in lane, they did quite well with that Blitzcrank. Followed by maybe a denial of some of the hyper carries from the side of Lost Cause. You know, they really don't want to see Happy the King on another hyper carry. He did really well on that Twitch.
We do see a Poppy and a Tristana ban, but someone's like, Ivan, your mic's just had a moment. I've just had to mute you. Apologies for the ear damage there, folks. I don't know what happened there. But we do see the Poppy, the Trist, and the Lucian bans for the side of the Albanians. And Vex, Ivern, and Jarvan. I mean, Pensive, thoughts on that?
I mean, they're definitely targeting down Wilbert on the side of Lost Cause. Ivern is one of his scariest champions. A great Zeri pickup. It looks like it is the side of Albanian Super Server looking to play that hyper carry this time around.
Well, that's just it. We do see the Zeri get locked in. Oh, what's the Karma Jinx? Oh, we talked about not letting Happy get hyper carry, and they've just given the hyperest of hyper carries in the game.
Absolutely, this has to be a little bit scary for the Albanian Super Server, but maybe they have a plan for what's coming into place.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the Lulu, take it that way. That's a solid pick. Especially, obviously, the Lulu. Her whole name is Lulu. I know she's a big Lulu player, but Karma's not a bad pickup for her either.
And then Lost Cause picking the Vi as a way to shut down the opposing hyper carry. You know, they have their own hyper carry. They have a way to shut down the opposing one. It's going to be a battle of the hyper carries. Who can protect it best? And we'll really have to see what they can come up with in the rest of this draft to really make that work.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I must admit, I personally currently think the side of Lost Cause could be a bit squishy. As much as Vi wants to be there, be the engage, she's not the tankiest of tanks. So it'll be interesting to see who they pick up.
True. You know, you do see the Bruiser Vi very often the thing to play. Gragas coming in, a decently chunky character. Maybe they'll play a Galio in one of the lanes.
Well, we are going to see a set of Vladimir coming out for the side of the Albanians. And it's a Rise. Pensive thoughts?
Rise he's one of these champions that if he gets going into the late game, he's an absolute monster. And honestly, everyone calls him a weak early game champion, but with the recent buffs, he's not that bad. If they're able to find someone that can pilot Rise really well, and maybe that's Vrail in this case, that is a menace. It's honestly very scary, especially because Rise will be able to deal with Azeri at about a similar range. Azeri not the longest of range characters. So I'm looking at this side of the Albanian Super Server, and I'm a little scared. You really need to make use of this Wukong and Set to get into the back line. You're forcing them not to be able to front to back you, but between Rise and Jinx, that is a whole lot of damage to try and get through.
I mean, Ivan, I don't know if we've got your mic working again yet, but what's your thoughts on the matchup? That mic's still not picking up. We'll hopefully get that fixed as we go into game, folks. But yeah, I mean, do you think it's a 2-0 for a lost cause, or do you think the Albanians will pull this back, Pensive?
I wanna trust in my boys. A little bit of caster bias here for the Albanians, but from what I just saw from Lost Cause, they honestly have a good chance of 2-0ing here. They played a really good game, and we'll see if they're able to make it happen once again.
But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely. Although they are missing a bit of the mobility they had from the previous game on the side of Vrail. Maybe they can make something happen there, as the Ahri is quite a bit more tricky
More mobile,
to keep locked down. But they do have the Vi now, who does have a fair bit of mobility herself, and is able to lock down opponents really, really hard.
I believe we've got Ivan back with us. Ivan, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, we got Mike as well. Oh, that sounds
perfect.
so much crisper.
Yes.
There's only one of us in the water instead of me and Ivan.
Yes, it sounded like game one you were submerged in a fizzle, or joining Pike down below. But nice and crisp now. What's your thoughts on the comps?
Beautiful. I think both team comps have potential. A lot of team fight options. So obviously Zeri Lulu, very famous as a kind of hyper carry option, and on the other side Jinx Karma as kind of the reply to it. I think we have Tempet back on comfort this time, so maybe he'll have a little bit more impact. And in the mid lane, I know Dopey picked Vladimir a couple weeks ago, just as a denial against Gladiator. Yeah, against Gladiator. I talked to him after the game. He said he was basically first timing it, so we'll have to see. If
that doesn't surprise me. That really doesn't surprise me with Dopey. That's the kind of thing he does. He's got absolutely no fear. He is one of the few players that fully embodies that kind of fearless mindset of just saying, yeah, we'll just see how it goes, and we'll work with whatever comes up. But 9 times out of 10, it will be really good. And the fact is Vex got banned away, that's one of the biggest signs of respect you can have in a Fearless tournament, is having one of your mains banned away.
Definitely. So we'll have to see how he's performing this time on the Vladimir.
And do you think we'll get an invade? We didn't get one last game with Blitz. Do you think any of these comps want to invade?
I think both comps seem pretty passive for the early game, so I doubt we're going to see an invade.
But maybe this is the time. They had the Blitzcrank last game, and everyone thought they were going to invade. But now that they have the passive comp, that's when they go for the invade. Keep your opponents guessing.
That's the logic. I mean, with Fearless, you can't play the obvious game. I think it caught them off guard, the plan for them to ban all 5 top lane champs game 1. They were not prepped for that. So now they've got the champs more to their pleasing. Let's see what they can do, as we are going to be getting into game numero. Oh, no, we're not. There's a pause. Hold that thought, folks. I'm literally loaded up, ready to go, and it's a pause. But that's standard from League of Legends, from these League of Legends games. There's always a pause. You gotta love it.
think in
It's
terms
just
of
the way it is sometimes.
comfort, I think probably the Albanians have a slightly more comfort.
Oh, you'd have to imagine. Although, you got to think some of these champs, you've got the Lulu being picked away. We saw him have so much success on these hook champs. Playing Lulu is a
Yeah.
completely different style of game.
True. And one thing we didn't talk about was Jaculex as the Gragas Poppy one trick as one of his big champs for
But
this
that's it.
game.
But he performed really well on the Fiora as well. Yeah, he may not have ran away with the game, but he was a key instrumental part in enabling the Warwick to get fed.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of had a bit of a rough early game into the Renekton, but came alive later on.
And Pensive, who
Absolutely
wins?
dominated.
Who wins the jungle matchup here? Is it going to be Wukong or is it going to be Vi?
So in that head-to-head, I actually favor the Wukong generally because of Wukong's passive, stacking up that bit of armor. Vi, doesn't really build a lot of penetration early on, and her W, while a good tool at long trades, Wukong is very slippery. He smacks you and then is happy to walk away after giving you a huge smack, and he's able to use his clone to dodge away from Vi's Q, which is her Vault Breaker, which is a large portion of what gives Vi that huge burst. It will come down a little bit to who gets the first hit, but I would generally favor the Wukong in that trade.
There we go. Well, we're going to see if we do get our first invade of the series, or if it's going to be just another 5-point defense as we're getting into game number 2. Oh, we got the mandatory league pause. There we go.
I think we see the set running top there. Both top laners just running to top river, so I doubt we're going to see anything interesting going on.
Yeah, it looks like there's 2 5-point defenses coming out from both sides. And yeah.
It's always so off-putting looking at a map like this.
There we go. It's because we're so used to seeing it from this angle. None of us are used to seeing it from this angle.
Definitely a different view.
What if we just watch it completely, perpendicular?
Hey, it's a very different experience. When I was doing a lot of the editing for the intros, for the transitions, it gives you a completely different perspective on the game. It's almost like what if Fortnite was League of Legends? That's what it kind of feels like.
What if we do like first-person view on one of the champions? Just follow them around.
No, it's good fun. It's good fun, and it's good. I find that's a really good tool to use in replays and in kind of video. When you're viewing a VOD, because we're so used to looking top down. It's interesting to kind of see not quite from the position of the player, but what would the champ see? The spells and all that as well, and it's just something different to think about. We do see Jaculate's a nice bit of poke though, and also the rise as well. But this Vlad is going to be someone who he can take all his life. He'll just take it right back.
Yeah, I think looking at the runes and starter items, looks like the top side of Lost Cause going for a little bit more beefy with the Grasp and the Conqueror for Vi. And I think we saw Rise starting with the Sapphire Crystal. Wants to get that run nice and early. And you can do that into a Vladimir because you don't really need the laning power that a Doran's Ring has. So Vladimir early game is not super strong.
Well, that's just that, he's actually been able to sit there with a mana advantage. Obviously, Vlad doesn't have any mana, but have plenty of mana to spare. And he's still got a 4 CS lead as we're almost hitting 3 minutes. And just in complete control of the tempo of the lane.
Yeah, able to get the push here early into Dopey. And the top side, Tempe's actually getting poked out a little bit by Jaculatex.
Interesting
But that
to
set
see.
can be very misleading because of his passive and how he works. Gains a lot of life regen the lower he gets.
Yeah. We are seeing Dopian maybe not using that pull to its greatest effect. You know, I think it's twice we've seen it not really connect with anything as it explodes. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes on. But Jaculex, a wee bit low on mana, has to be respect this set, although Tempete does miss the face break, the pullback. I think it's the face breaker. I'm not 100% sure on the names. I know the names, just not the order.
Yeah, Facebreaker's the E, Haymaker's the W.
Oh, I was right.
Knuckle
I
Down
was
is the
right.
Q.
I was right. It was the E used the face breaker, but yeah. And we do see Wilbert looking in on the rise with if Vladimir doesn't quite get enough in the pool, and he's just going to dab his way out of there. Vril will just take that happily enough.
Yeah, Rise running that phase rush, able to get out of there quickly.
But importantly, Wilbert buying his mid laner a bit of room there, as he was getting quite low from the poke from the Rise.
But you
Letting
did
him be
see
a little more
Vi there as
even.
well. Yeah, you did see Vi there as well, ready to jump in and kind of help the Rise if need be. Both jungles on equal farm, taking a scuttle each. They'll be quite happy with that.
And we see a little bit of potential knowledge gap in terms of how the Vladimir decided to itemize. You know, he got the Doran's ring, which is a fine item.
Oh,
But very often,
hold that thought. Jaculex, we did talk about the Gragas one shot almost taking down the set, but set managing to live just on a blinking health bar.
very well done to Jaculex there, forcing that set back, showing him I'm the top lane king here.
I just want to check if Dopey didn't buy any items, because
He bought the Doran's ring, but the usual thing is a dark seal with a refillable potion, and you got to imagine that he's going to be missing the refillable here as Rise has it. So he's just a little behind in the sustain game for this early game. As well, Vlad does have a fair bit of sustain in his kit. Rise just kind of pokes you down a heck of a ton. And
we are going to see Wukong going in onto this Rise, taking a lot of damage, but again, the fleet, that's not fleet through, the
Phase Rush.
face rush, yes. The face rush just kind of gets him out, and he's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, but I think it's important to note at the start of the game, we're seeing Wilbert and Dopey, linking up a lot more, which was a bit of a struggle in the last game. So it's a good sign for the Albanians.
I think they have.
This is a cannon there.
I think they have to though, because with his Rise, he is going to scale, and he has got so much prior in this lane even still. As the Blood Pool does finally get something, but Vril will take a tower shot thanks to Dopey, but they're just going to kind of walk away. Nothing's really going to happen there after Vril gets that plate. But we do see Lost Cause again, early commitment to the objectives. And it's these guys this time that will take the first dragon of the match.
Yeah. Wilbert doing a good job at trying to keep his mid lane afloat. However, in doing so, he gets behind on tempo, is not able to be there and ready to contest the dragon. And Lost Cause see this and just pick it up for free.
I think if you get the kill in that mid lane, it's worth. But you lost a lot of tempo. You didn't get much from it. You didn't even get a flash from the Rise. And now you're in a position where you don't have that objective. Problem is, if you don't do that, Dopey's going to get even further behind, and playing a Vlad from behind is not a fun position to be in. But right now, we talked about this series being bloody, but this game they decided, no, we don't want to fight. We got all the blood out last time.
I think both sides
But
picking
this-
scaling. It's a sign that it's going to be a slow early game.
Absolutely. By this point in the last game, we had, I think it was 14 kills already on the board?
Yep, something like that. The feats were done within the first kind of 5 minutes or so, and there was loads more after that. ADCs
Well,
trading their
for a lane
lives.
game.
Not much there though. The vision gets spotted out, and again, Delulu playing a great vision game, getting the wards down where it matters. We're happy, and they're just gonna take it. And Karma's already in mid lane looking for these grubs, and
Yeah,
Tempete
spotting
can't
Wilbert on
even.
that bot side.
Tempete can't really walk as well because this Gragas is just poking them out. You gotta think this is exactly what you want in the Lost Cause early game.
Another great start from them. See if they can close this out cleanly for a 2-0.
Absolutely. They're looking really strong right now. You know, they're the ones calling the shots.
And the hardest thing in League is to kind of come from behind after losing game one. You know, you're already thinking like, oh crap, we're down a game. How can we get back into it? Then game two comes around, you lose the dragon. You can't even contest the grubs because your mid lane's getting pushed in. Your top lane's down to, you know, a chunk of health. And the Gragas still gets back to do so much damage. And your bot lane is just obviously sitting looking to scale. Like, yeah, there's been no kills. But you've got absolutely no control of any lanes right now.
Explosive Cask, not quite pushing the set where Jackulex wanted to. That top lane. Still able to get a nice chunk of damage down.
But look, you know, Dopey's not having a fun time on this Vladimir. He's down to 550 gold, the only lane which really has a difference. Although we do see Mazavara, he will get caught up by the clone, but then decides to use the Vault Breaker onto Vilbert. We do see Mao and Orendam walking up, but they're just going to walk away. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you lose the Vial. That's a small price to pay when you lose, you know, with Wukong now doesn't have a flash.
Yeah, but as we talk about Lost Cause mid lane winning, I think on the bottom side, Orendam slowly just building up a little bit of a CS lead over Happy. 200 gold ahead.
I think at this point it's not big enough to really be noticeable, but if that keeps going that way, it could be. But the big thing with Jinx, though, as we know, it takes one fight. It just takes one kill, one objective that she's part of, and your whole team doesn't get to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll have to see. It will depend on the reset timers, I think, for Orendam. If you can get a good reset timer and have that Yuntal before Happy's able to come out with it, then that could be a winning 2v2. But we'll have to see when they decide to go for that reset.
Who do we think wins the Battle of the Enchanters, though? I think Karma's probably, as much as Lulu is better for the general ADC's whereabouts, I think in a 2v2, I'd much rather have the Karma with the shields. We do see Velvet looking on Jackulex. We do see the ult coming in to take him back on the tower, but Jackulex going to get out before taking a tower shot. He will have to burn the flash, though. But Set also had to burn the flash as well. So, flash to flash, but only one out there. As Rail, he is absolutely controlling the mid lane right now. Taking tower shots are fun.
That it's just, you know, yeah, you got to pick away the Vladimir from the Vladimir guy, but if you don't know how to play it, he's going to know how to play against it. And this is coming up now, and it's really causing a bit of trouble.
And Dopey decides not to back.
Forced to use the flasher to stay alive, but if he sticks any longer, he's just going to go down.
I mean, it's definitely a decision. I personally would just take the back and get out of there. But instead, we're going to see Jackulex, you know, use the explosive cast rightly. They take the second dragon. I would say contested, but Vilbert is there as well. But we see a bomba in the top lane with Tempetti getting picked up by Jackulex. You know, Jackulex showing, you know, he may not have had the greatest games in jungle last series when he was guesting for Mazavara, but put him in the top lane, give him the Gragas, and he'll be the one singing "Roll Out the Barrel" as he gets that first kill.
And that's one of the feats completed for the Lost Cause. They have 3 objectives taken. I know the visual's a bit odd there, but they do have 2 dragons and all 3 grubs.
And here we see Velvet looking in the back line. He's going to get onto the Lulu, but they're going to set the sights right on the Jinx. Happy has to flash out. The Chompers come out. Don't quite get the Wukong. And he's just going to get spun to death, and Zeri will pick up the kill. Now Delulu has to walk away for her life, but thankfully she'll get under tower for her sake. But that mid tower is gone, and that is a 12 minutes 45 feats for the side of Lost Cause.
Fred is so accelerated here. He's picked up 5 plates for himself. He's already got that row online and on 2 stacks.
1.6k gold up. And now Tempetti looks like he's going to absolutely focused down again by this Vi. The set out does come out, and Vrail's already on the second tower, folks. He wants that mid lane to just not exist. He says, yeah, you pick away my Vlad, I take away your whole tower. Thank you very much. As we do see Jackie Lex in the back line, trying to stop Set from doing anything, and you get him punted back and forth between a cask and a big fist. And that's just more plates for the side of Lost Cause.
Yeah, so many plates in this mid and top lane. And it's already a 2.4k gold lead for Lost Cause. They'll probably pick up a second tower here as well on the top side.
You get the feeling, though, Pensive, that this game is going to be one of those where nothing really happens, but the game gets away from you if you're the side of the Albanians. You need something to happen, and you kind of need it quick, even with the hyper carrier in the bot lane having the only kill down there.
Absolutely. It's looking kind of bleak on the side of the Albanian Super Server. You know, the mid lane, yeah, Vladimir hasn't died, but he has lost everything. 40 CS down, full tower gone. He's got no damage back in the mid tower. And now the bot tower is looking to fall. It's slowly gripping. You know,
and the chompers land onto the Zeri. And that's a lot. It just shows you, they might have pretty much the same items, but Jinx will still pack a punch with her Yuntals.
Just a few more auto attacks, and then the rocket would have come down. Super Mega Death Rocket hits quite a punch.
To be fair, I'm surprised we've not seen one. I think maybe one more auto is all that needs, or the Lula is shielding. And we do see Velvet looking onto Vrail, but the thing is, Dopey's just not landed any of the W's, although Velvet will land the knockout. The bottom tower does fall. And Vrail, what a play from Dopey, using the absolute blood-sucking ability of that Vladimir to kill the Rise as he teleports away. But now Delulu spotted on Vision, although it's Timpeti who's the one at risk. The grit is building up, but not quite enough to really be able to turn onto this Gragas. But obviously Mazvar taking over from Vrail. But even with that shutdown, that's nice.
That was very, very well played by Vrail, honestly. Yeah, he did end up falling to the Hemo playing in the end, but he timed his ultimate just after he got knocked off from the Wukong, knowing there's a bit of a lull before Wukong's able to activate it once again, and there's no other CC that can stop him. So that's why he was able to ult away, but they just got just barely enough damage there to take Vrail down, the Hemo Plague ending his life after he teleports away. Very well played by the side of the Albanian Super Server, and very, very close for Vrail.
And that's another objective. So they've had 2 dragons, they had Ulthi Rift, and now they have Shelly. We're 16 minutes into the game. The Albanians have had nothing on the map, apart from a kill on the Zeri and a kill on the Vlad. That's it.
Yeah, they just have no prior anywhere. Like, all of their lanes are just losing, and it's just led to objective after objective for the Lost Cause.
I mean, how did you get back into this, Pensive? I'm sure you've played many a game where you're jungling, and yeah, your bot lane's kind of ahead, but not really, because you've lost that tower, you've lost mid lane tower, you've lost top lane tower, you're not even 20 minutes in. What do you need to be doing in the jungle?
So at this point, you need to identify where can you really get an advantage from, right? And when you look at your lanes, Set is not doing great, and it's hard to lock down a Gragas. Vladimir is definitely behind the Rise, and again, between the two of you, there isn't that much CC. So what do? You have to go bot lane here. You have to rely on this Lulu, being able to lock down the opponent so you guys can get a big fight going. And that's where your hyper carry is. That's where you need to get something going.
And we are going to see them try and fight this dragon. The first objective they've really walked up on. We do see Vladimir getting onto the back line. It's a decent one. Then Wukong goes and knocks up. This area pops the ultimate. We'll pick up the kill on the Jinx. But Phil's taking a lot of damage to the back line. The problem is, Vrail's the only one remaining standing. That's the exact thing you need if you're a fan of the Albanians.
That was a huge cyclone from the Wukong. Fantastic way to start that fight.
And that's exactly what you need to do to get back into this game. I mean, we'll get a replay of that up just in a minute. But that's how they want to fight. Do you think maybe they've been a bit hesitant in the early game? Playing it a bit too safe? When you see a fight like that?
Potentially, honestly.
I don't think they've had really many good opportunities. Like, this was the first time they were actually grouped up and ready to go for that dragon fight. And,
I mean, here we see
very well for them.
Let me just put the speed up because I'm still on the speed from that
replay.
Dopey
get a huge Hemo Plague onto the entire enemy team, uses the pool of blood, followed by a cyclone from the Wukong, knocking up all the members there as they slowly whittle down the Jinx. and then the Vi. Wukong goes just a little bit too far and gets taken down by the Rise, but they're able to come away with it with 2-1 and pick up the Dragon as the Lulu runs for her life.
You gotta think, if the Albanians can get onto that back line with this Vladimir, they can do a lot. But if the fight goes on any longer than that, or if Dopey can't get in on the back line, Jinx is going to be able to free fire. They're just going to be able to do so much more. But that was really well executed. And it kind of adds a bit of spice to the game. Although we are fighting it in the blue side jungle, as Vilbert will just fall like a paperclip. And now it's Dopey, the next target. Although Catniple's gone, the Super Mega Death Rocket is there, and Happy has set his sights on the Lulu. It's not the Lulu, it's the Lulu. And Catnipple will fall, but not before, obviously, Zuitzai did pick up the Jinx, but it is Vi who avenges Powder and picks up the kill on the fellow Zonite.
Oh, you gotta imagine that Albanian Super Server was probably thinking, okay, we're back into this game. We got a good fight down in the Dragon Pit. And then they just set up a fantastic trap on the side of Lost Cause, inside of the bot side jungle. They find Wilbert. Wilbert's not able to get away. He's forced to try and cyclone to salvage the fight, but there just isn't enough damage. And Lulu being so low just gives yet another easy target for Happy to keep going, getting excited, using that Jinx passive to just tear through the enemy team.
Yeah, I mean, we do see, Shelly get used in the bot lane. I mean, let's take a look at the gold lead, Ivan, and I mean, that's a gold graph if I ever saw one.
Yeah, it's very heavily in Lost Cause's favour now. Over 5,000 ahead of the Albanians, and it's looking a little bit rough for them right here. Always looking on to Jaculex maybe.
But no, I mean, this is definitely what you need if you're the side of Lost Cause after your first 4 weeks of the season. You remember, they came out, they dominated the Yellow Submarines week 1. They looked really clean. But ever since then, they've had a lot of challenges. And this is the first week, we said it before, Lost Cause were the underdogs in this series. But they have shown up, and they've absolutely turned the tables on the Albanians.
Yeah, I think they're putting up a massive showing. They definitely deserve to be ahead in this game as well.
Absolutely, they played really well so far.
It's been an absolute clinic. They've just put on a near masterclass. Masterclass would be no deaths, no towers, but they're not far from it, as we do see the Vrail going in, maybe a bit overeager, and he's just going to die to the Zeri. I don't think that's what you want to be doing as a Rise. Yeah, that's just an interesting moment. Thought he had a moment. Didn't realise the Lulu was there, and the Wukong was loitering as well, as Dopey will pick up that bot side turret.
Yeah, he bit off a bit more than you could chew there, thinking, it's an isolated Zeri, but he had no vision. He had no idea. Goes in and finds himself on the end of a nice Lulu tricking with, just getting absolutely dunked by the Zeri's damage. It's not really what you want. Yeah, you're ahead, but you can't be making these kind of plays. It's still a very losable game.
Well, that's it. I
mean,
Go on.
Sorry. Just giving over another kill to Ordo, and he's already sitting on 2.5 items, about 1,000 gold from the IE as well. It's going to be a monster task for Ordo and to try and carry this game, but definitely if he's getting the money, it's doable.
Yeah, we do see the clone getting popped nice now, and that should be back up fairly soon, as Mazavara and Delulu are just clearing up that vision. A whopping 55 vision score on this Karma so far, and Jaculex is having fun with Tempeti in this top lane here, just not letting him get out. As Happy will get caught out. Oh, that's not where you want to be as a Jinx. And Happy will just fall, but now, this is where, if you're the side of Albanians, this is where you want to be. You're in a team fight, and they don't have that hyper carry, and they can now turn their attention to the Dragon. Let's see if they can do anything with the Rise and the Karma, as Vi's looking for an angle on the backside. Tempeti is coming down, but he's going to be a wee while away. Gragas is TPing down to the fight as well. They know without the Jinx being there, they need something. Jinx has got 18 seconds till she's up before she can even fire that Mega Death Rocket, and they are probably going to try and stall till that happens, so that can at least have an impact on the fight. We do see the Dragon going down to 82,000 health. Velvet is looking in on the backline, won't get a proc onto the rail, and Jacqueline, but not much more. They're forced to retreat as Vi is completely out of the fight. Timpeti is the one taking damage. The Facebreaker comes out. There's a lot of damage onto Rail, but now that's on a cooldown. And we are going to see Vilbert and Orendam turn onto Mazavara on the Vi. We do see the Super Mega Death Rocket. It does finally come down, does go wide. The clone doesn't fooling anyone as we do see the blood pool coming out as the Lulu will fall. That could be big as now the Facebreaker comes out and it's the Set who's going to fall. We thought Lost Cause, we were Lost Cause, but it is the Vi who gets the kill onto Zeri and what looked like a fight that was lost by Lost Cause to give this dragon over. Vilma's not quite done, although Rail's going to have something to say about that. We thought it was going to go to the side of the Albanians, but instead they're going to get the advantage. And that's another Drake, putting them on soul point. I don't know if about me, but I thought that was a lost fight. Oh, you gotta take a breath.
Yeah, we got to take a look at that replay because it looked like it started well for the Albanian Super Server, but I think Tempete on the set just getting a little carried away and trying to zone off and engage onto Lost Cause. You know, maybe it was time to pull back, take the dragon, but instead just goes a little too far, gets himself low. The team's forced to try and back him up, and then they just find a huge engage on the side of Lost Cause.
Well, can hold up on the replays. Vilbert gets caught out in his own jungle here. Lulu is here as well, but Vilbert is just going to probably fall. Won't escape with a blinking health bar, although Karma... Jinx looking for that Super Mega Death Rocket. As that goes wide, will kill the clone, as Mal will use what little shielding he has left to give it, although a cast comes out, and thankfully the shields are starting to come out from this Lulu, but they're just going to turn it to Baron. And while they're doing that, let's take a look back at that fight, folks, because that was a hell of a brawl. I mean, we can see
played by Lost Cause to stall it out while the Jinx is still respawning. Of course, the Hex Gates get there pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And,
they're looking here for an engage. They don't quite fancy it. They can't really find what they need. Hemoplate goes wide. It hits a target or two, but doesn't really matter. Tempete goes forward. Here, you can see the rest of the Albanian Super Server is trying to turn back to the Dragon, but Tempete is just getting absolutely hammered by the solo laners from Lost Cause. They've bought enough time. They're trying to peel back as Mahizvara comes in, hits the clone, but this is where it goes wrong. Gragas finds just an all-in fight. They get completely split. The Zeri and the Lulu on the top.
Hold on, we are jumping to live. Sorry to interrupt, Pensive. But we do see, obviously, they were fighting over the Baron, and we did see on the picture-in-picture, the Albanians looking to come in. Zeri is going to pick up the Vi. Now Vlad is going to pick up the Jinx, and that fight gets absolutely flipped, but Vilbert will fall to the rise. And now it's a 3v4 here. But you got to think with this level 17 Gragas, Rail's still up as well, and Karma, who hasn't died yet. Even after all those fights, she's still alive. 0-9 on this Karma. But you might have got the Jinx, you might have slowed them down. But you can't stop this onslaught from the side of Lost Cause. Although they are going to get picked up onto Rise. And Jackie likes to do a lot of damage and tanky, but unfortunately can't tank it there. That's a cast of curse, if I ever saw it.
As you see, Gragas with a body slam trying to get frisky with Tempete on the set. Rail following up, but then Tempete just uses a beautiful, beautiful showstopper to just get them dead, followed with the rest of the team, and they turned that fight. They're like, oh, we can get an easy picking here, and they just bite too much off. They can't do that. All the members were down on their side. The Lulu had just recalled. It just wasn't the time to go in.
I swear both of these have read the script of last night's Back Push Lovers versus Ratatouille's match, sorry. As we see there's a Mega Devil coming in, steals it! Oh, she steals it! What a steal! You gotta think she knew exactly what she was doing there. But this is literally the Back Push Lovers versus Ratatouille's game. You have one side get a great fight, then the other side gets a great fight. But that's a big ass steal for the Jinx.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive punch in the gut.
Oh no, Wilbert. Oh no.
Thing is though, there's not much you can do in that situation.
Yeah, you need one of your team members to be ready to block that rocket. Otherwise, it's things like that can happen. Unfortunate for Wilbert. He's going to be feeling bad. He's gotten quite a few objectives stolen from him. Not to name any names of who might have done that to him, but
it's not been his series this game. You know, he's tried to get a lot of things kind of going, but we are going to see Tempete get caught out by the explosive cask again, by this Gragas and Rise combo. The face melter does come out. Unfortunately, that all that's going to melt right now is the health on this tier 2 turret. Meanwhile, we do see Velvet looking in, trying to get onto the Lulu. The Lulu gets smited out, but she's just going to walk away with the mantra. And it is going to be, you know, they're going to get to walk back, get the minions, as Gragas and Rise will now join the party. And I mean, yeah, it's just all coming up lost cause right now.
Yeah, I think the Albanians really need to find a couple more of those shorter skirmishes.
Oh, we do see the clone. They are going to attack the clone. Waste a lot of time on that as the Zerial does come out. They are going to look onto Orend. You know, Cactus is caught on the chompers. Why are we on only one vision? Sorry, 2 seconds. Let me just sort the vision. There we go. As we do see Jackalix on the back line, getting caught out by, catching Eto out, sorry. I mean, this is sole point for Lost Cause if they can secure it. You know, that W coming out does a lot of damage as we see.
Beautiful
Dopey.
haymaker from Set.
And they're just going to back and give it because they know one fight, although Jackalix and the Lulu are going to hang about. But this is the thing with the Hex Gates. They might be able to get back in time. I actually don't think they do. Jinx does have the ult up. Jackalix tried to do something there through the thing, but they are just going to get out. The Super Mega Death Hook does come out, doesn't quite pick someone up, but does a lot of damage, and now they're looking to turn the fight in the backside. We do see Tempete and Vilbert going low. Vilbert with the first to fall, Tempete will be second, and now Marvel's looking. This Jinx is excited, folks, and I believe that is a triple kill. She's looking for the quadra, but she will be the one who will get picked up, and it will be Frail who pick up 10. That is just a clean ace. Now they still have this Baron buff, and I know they do still have Baron, and they're just going to walk.
I believe it's over. I think it's over, really.
I think it's over, yeah. I mean, that was really well played by Lost Cause to take that reset with the Baron-empowered recalls. They knew they couldn't fight that dragon. They said, you know what? We don't need to. Let them have it. They had Jackie Lux buy some time as they come back into the play, take the Rise ultimate, the Realm Warp into the fight, and they know that the side of the Albanian Super Server is low. They know that they can force this fight.
Can they end it? I don't think they can end. I don't think they can end.
I think they will.
The towers will fall, but I don't think they're going to get the base. They come up just in time. They come up just in time. They won't get the towers, but they won't get the base. The Lula is finally going to fall to the Zeri. But now we're in a situation where you've got 2 towers down on your Nexus. It is open for a good couple of minutes now. It just takes one Rise Realm Warp, and then that bait Nexus will just go boom. But now we're in a point where they need, I think, 2 more dragons. Yeah, they still need 2 more dragons for Soul if you're the Albanians, but you only need 1 for Lost Cause. I mean, you're still going to think it's very much in the favour of Lost Cause, but even just getting those kills there, that's just going to make the gold graph look a bit nicer if you're the side of Albanians, but still a long, long hill to come back from.
Yeah, Wilbert saves the game with a big cyclone, manages to pick up a couple of goals as well for his team, and now
he might not have had a lot of objective control, but when it's come to those clutch fights, those key moments, he's been there. And he's made it count.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, you've got to imagine that some of this is coming from how Delulu is playing this. You know, she's up 30 vision score on her opposition.
That's insane.
She's doing quite a good job at making sure everything is warded, there's enough vision, and they're able to make plays with it.
Talking of vision, they don't spot Vilbert in the jungle, although they're just going to say, yeah, no, we can take that boost. That belongs to us. Thank you for coming to the bank of Lost Cause. We're just going to take your whole jungle. As now they're all going to turn their attention to this bot side. Remember, this is the only side which isn't open. They want to open this base and crack it open fully, as the super minions will rain down in both mid and top lane. And I mean, you're sitting here as 5. I would maybe move someone onto the top side. You've got TP open on this Gragas. But they are just going to start hammering down on this tower. The face melter doesn't quite do much from the set, but they're doing enough to hold the minion waves, for now at least.
Yeah, I think committing 5 here is actually a good play. I think just to force it, because obviously the other ways are going to push by themselves. So being able to just force down this turret slowly will eventually open the base.
Trying to find something with Set. You know, it was the haymaker earlier that allowed him to deal so much damage that forced the.
And now we see. Sorry.
Back.
Now we see the minion wave coming in. We see the ultimate coming out from the Set, but we do see Vale going into Zhonya's, and Set will just fall. Now it's time to Velvet to knock the Cyclone up, and he will get rooted. Orwin Dan will pick up the Jinx, but not before Velvet will get the kill onto the Wukong. They're looking the site Set. Oh, maybe not. A double kill for Zeri. Now Dopey's looking after Jaculex, but the minions are on the Nexus. Will it be enough? Are we looking at a LEC kind of situation here as they're pinging them out? We can't quite see the health bars because these Baron Nexus towers have respawned. And League of Legends, it's a great indie game with 200 years of gaming history, but they can't put health bars on a respawn tower.
Yeah, we saw Happy getting engaged on there by Tempesta with the ultimate. Happy flashes forwards and actually gets taken out very quickly by the Zeri ultimate. And yeah, those lightning chains pick up a couple more kills for Auto Endam. It's going to be all on his back now, full build. It's going to be having to carry these fights for the Albanians.
Honestly, I think Tempesta must have heard me when I said that he needed to get a great Haymaker. He definitely tried to do that. He did force the defensive spells and summoners and items from the side of Lost Cause, which allowed Zeri to just rain free. She was raining all kinds of damage, absolutely melting the front line of Lost Cause.
Now here comes
well held by the Albanian Super Server.
Now here we go. We've got all the attention on this top side while the Dragon's been just taken on the bot side. And they're going to send the Super Mega Deathhawk. We're going to follow that down. Zeri doesn't quite get it, but it's a wee bit early from the Jinx, but they're going to be fine with the Baron as they trade the third Dragon for the side of Albanians. And now they're going to look to push it in. They have this Baron-empowered buff, and they are looking to end. What would be an upset? I think we can clearly say that if they manage to secure this. It would be one of the biggest upsets we've seen so far in Fearless in this middle bracket.
This game still could go either way, to be honest. Like, one fight now could absolutely break the game. Just gonna have to see how they execute on it.
I mean, Vale's going to take that bot side tower, and now they're going to turn the attention to this top side inhib and reopen that. You know, they reopened the mid one already, and now it's time for top to get absolutely cracked open. I just don't know if there's much you can do, even with a wave clear from the Vladimir. Velbert, the Zeri, like, yeah, they're going to clear waves quite quick. Problem is, if you take one bad fight as that mid finally goes down, now you're triple inhibbed. You've got Baron minions raining down on your base. The super minions have just left the Lost Cause base. What can you do?
It's not just
They
super
really
minions as
need to
well.
fight, like,
Double
now.
wave super minions.
Yeah, they need to fight before these super minions get to their base, otherwise they're going to be in some big trouble.
And here we go, folks. The last stand of the Albanians. They're going to be praying to whatever Albanian god they have that they can muster the courage to fight for one last time. As we do see Dopey almost takes a cast, but decides not to explode it just yet. We are going to see the blood pool get used up nice and early. He is going to go back into it. Now Tempete's got to be careful, taking a lot of damage, building that grit as Zeri gets the zap onto Happy, but Happy's just going to get absolutely peeled for as Velvet can't go anywhere. The Super Mega Deathhawk, it doesn't quite pick up the kill, but it will pick up eventually onto Velvet. Set will take Happy out the fight. However, Owen Dam is gone as well. The one shining hope of this fight, if you're the side of the Albanians, and that should be series. Vrail will pick up Dopey, and Cat Nipple is trying his best to fight against the big beer man. But it will be Tempete who will be the one causing last standing a lot of damage, and we'll turn that back on, but it's not enough. The white flag will come out, and it will be the upset of the week, of the season so far, and it will be Lost Cause who will pick up a surprise victory against the Albanians. And honestly, folks, I didn't see that coming. Did you?
Very, very well played by the side of Lost Cause. Beautiful peeling for that Jinx in the last fight. You know, the Albanians were trying with everything they had to try and get her down, but it just wasn't enough, and it was very well done. A huge shout out to the support, the jungle and top laner of the Lost Cause team being able to peel so well for Happy here on the Jinx.
It was a fantastic series, and both teams played really well, but unfortunately can only be one winner. And Ivan, I mean, we said this before, you know, all the odds were for 2-0 for the Albanians. But Lost Cause said,
Yeah.
nah, not today, pal. We're going to win it. Who was your kind of standouts?
Right. I think for me, the mid jungle, Vrail and what's his name now?
As well.
Mazvara, yes, performed really, really great in both games, and I think Delulu controlled the vision extremely well as well. So for me, I think those would be my three nominees for MVP.
Definitely. I mean, that was just so well played. We are going to quickly see if we can get an interview before we wrap up today. But yeah, I mean, what was your highlight of the series, folks?
Oh, I think it has to be that Jinx steal. It was just too
Yeah.
it just it cinched the absolute chaos that were these games. That Jinx steal, the Super Mega Death Rocket on the Baron was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was also like kind of the nail, like one of the last nails in the coffin for the Albanians. Like that Baron could have been their way back into the game. They got it denied, and there was just really nothing they could do after that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic series. We're just trying to get some people in for an interview. So we'll take a quick break while we get lined up and get all our captains in. But both sides, kudos on a hell of a series, because that's exactly what that
Absolutely.
was. That was one of the best series we've seen probably all season in terms of action and fighting. And if that's the way this middle bracket is going to come, we've got a hell of a remainder of season to come, folks.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll take a short 3-minute break, but please do not go anywhere, because we're back with the captains for a quick interview very shortly. And folks, we are back here with the two captains. And firstly, before we go into interviews, I have to say, what a fantastic series you both just put on. That was a match of the Titans.
Thank you.
I mean, we'll start with you, Mal. I mean, how did you feel when you saw 5 of your top laners champions picked away in game 1? Was that what you expected? Or did that
We
kind of
we,
catch-
laugh, we laughed our ass off. We thought that Eto had insulted one of their mothers or something in pre-game chat. We thought that was the only reasonable way. But no, I'll keep it short and sweet. Losers interview shouldn't be too long. Congrats. Happy you guys deserve to win. Well played, well played. Nice to see you guys coming back. They were better than us today. Well played. Unfortunate that you emoted. All of us have gotten warnings before on our team. We tried really hard not to do it, but hey, c'est la vie, as my French top laner would say. Congratulations. Enjoy the win, and we hope to see you guys in playoffs. And thank you guys for casting.
Thank you for
guys
joining
enjoy
us.
the winners interview.
There we go. Very nice. I mean, happy. Talk us through that series. I mean, that was a hell of a series.
Nope. Is he muted still?
No, I can't quite hear you, man.
We have audio.
Just check what mic's being picked up because that's quite.
Yeah, check your Chrome or your Opera or whatever browser you're using that it's reading the correct microphone.
You
It's
might,
in your browser settings.
yeah, you might need to reload the stream. Yeah, nothing's been picked
No, it's
up.
not coming through. Go to your browser settings. And,
Oh, we're getting something. No, just it is.
Hello?
There we go. We can hear you
There you
now.
go.
Welcome
All
back.
right, beautiful. Hello. Yeah, man, what a series. That felt good. That was an amazing series. I enjoyed that thoroughly. I enjoyed playing against them. That was a good time.
Talk us through that game 1 strat with the top laners. Did you kind of thought of that as a strategy, or was that a very much a spur of the moment thing?
So we really wanted to see the Darius. We really wanted him to pick the
Okay.
Darius. We were looking for
Something I
that,
mentioned in
and
the draft.
it didn't happen. But we were, yeah. That was essentially what we wanted, but it turned out great.
yeah, Fiora known as a good Darius counter. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was. I mean, you guys haven't had the easiest of seasons. I mean,
No.
I mean, obviously, you come out early on in the season, you get a nice, clean 2-0 looking very dominant, but you've had some close calls in some of these other games where you've almost managed to come through. But today, you managed to flip the script, and it was actually quite dominant from you guys, which might sound surprising. I don't mean it that way, but obviously, Albanians were being one of the sides tipped to do a lot of damage in this division, but you took to them like a knife through butter. Like, that must have felt good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was paying attention early on into the stream where ASS was going to go 2-0. I remember hearing that a lot, and I was like, I don't think so. We're gonna take this. This is our day.
So what kind of change
Honestly,
between?
I'll put my hands up here. I thought so as well. We faced them and we lost to them 2-1 in a super close series. Obviously, we've gotten a few changes since then. And from the previous games, you guys came through with a rough patch, but it looks like you turned it on in this series. It was amazing, super well done.
Yeah, it feels really nice. It felt really good winning. I wish Overdog could be here as well, but because he goes off to the off branch top laners like Fiddlesticks. We were able to play the Fiora with a sub. It just kind of it landed perfectly in our lap, and we kind of just got a win off of that. I feel like.
So
That was-
with that win, you moved to 7 points, and you're in 6th. Well, joint 4th really, but
obviously, because
Yeah, how
other
you feel
other
about
teams haven't played
Yeah.
yet, that's why you're still
yeah.
down
Yeah.
there. But it's still a lot stronger position than you were in, and it pretty much almost locks you in to that playoffs.
Oh, goddamn! Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Because
cool.
obviously you've got, I think, 2 weeks remaining.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a total of
Yeah.
6 teams that make playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's also
okay.
6 teams that make it through. And your closest rivals are the Meta Cultists. So obviously they've still got to play this week. So you're not
Mhm.
a mathematical lock yet. But realistically, the most they can get, and that's if they 2-0 everyone, is 9 points. And that includes obviously
Okay.
them beating you as well. So you've still got a lot in your hands. But you only need to score a couple more points because their maximum total they can get is 11. So
Okay.
there's still a bit of wiggle room, but you're in a very strong position. And then it's all about where you place in the playoff pyramid.
Very good.
Yeah, you actually play against Metacultus in the very last week. So how are you feeling about that matchup? Because that could be the decider to on like who goes into playoffs and who doesn't.
Well, I mean, I guess that's just going to be. I don't know. I feel like every game we play, we put on a cinematic masterpiece. So it's gonna be. It's also gonna be another cinematic masterpiece coming from Lost Cause.
I gotta ask, that Jinx ult to steal the Baron, that must have felt good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I try to play it off like just another casual Monday, just another day. But man, it felt really good.
Nice.
It
Who
felt so good.
would you say obviously was one of the key parts of that win? On your team. Who was there anyone in particular that stand out, or was it a full team effort?
It's a definitely a team effort, but I'm not even gonna lie. Rail is the GOAT of the team. He is the best player on the team, without a doubt.
We saw that. I mean, it started off a wee bit interesting. As much as the lane prio, a couple of interesting decisions on the rise, but in the end, some of those realm warps were more than enough to turn the tide
Yeah.
of the battle.
Yeah, he is definitely a game changer. I'm really happy about him.
But no, I mean, it was great to see. Who have you got next week? Let me just see. Have you started looking ahead already, or are you
I
still?
believe it's Pensiv's team.
Ooh.
Yep, it is.
We were so early in getting this one that I haven't done it yet. I usually do it on Wednesdays.
Well, I'll be looking
So-
forward to that matchup because that is going to be another fun matchup. I feel. Both
course.
teams around that 7-point mark. Yeah. So obviously you've got 8 for the Furious 5. Obviously still to play this week, but you're all in that kind of ballpark now. There's quite a ruck in the middle of the table, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And you best believe we're bringing our A game. We're not going easy on you, buddy.
I mean, I don't know. This brought forth a newfound confidence within the team. So I mean, all I can say realistically to that is best of luck.
There we go. I think that's a fantastic way to wrap up the stream. Congratulations, Happy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the
Thank you.
co-casters, Ivan and Pensive. What a cast that was. And yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow. We've got probably one of the most decisive matchups in the lower bracket we've had so far. The battle for third place. The Shetland Super Server versus Netflix and Chill. This is a match you will not want to miss. This match will decide a team's fate into the playoffs and who they face. The stakes don't get any higher, in this battle for third. And if it goes a certain way, one of these teams could slip to 5th. That is how big this could be. But the only way you'll see that is by tuning in tomorrow. And with that, we will leave you. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we shall see you very, very soon.